Alright, y'all, we back with another one. This High Time Reviews. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. We doing All American Homecoming Season 3, Episode 6, New Normal. Start the episode out with Simone, and she's basically dreaming about where her life is going to be like with the cancer, So, of course, you see her walking through the school. She got the headscarf on. She looks extremely tired, and then she ends up seeing like a picture of her in her Bringston tennis uniform, and it's basically like in memorial of her. So that wakes her up instantly. Boom. In the living room of the apartment, you got Keisha on the phone texting Cam, and Cam is basically not replying to her. But again, Cam is in a weird space where he feels like, okay, I'm your boyfriend, but you're not even willing to share your passion with me. Like, you're literally sharing it with a whole nother man. So I understand his frustration. And Nate comes in, and Nate basically makes Keisha feel good about the situation, saying like, oh, maybe he's just busy, this, that, and the third. Nobody is taking into account that she literally was doing underground dancing, didn't tell nobody about it, didn't tell Cam about it, was sneaking out, lying to Cam about it, but was telling JR about all of it. And Cam not supposed to feel away? Y'all are nuts. So Simone comes out, she tells them that she can't sleep because she gets her diagnosis tomorrow. 9 times out of 10, she thinks it's going to be stage 1. She feels like with it being stage 1, she feels like she wants to try to be as normal as possible. So she plans on going to practice and still trying to compete or whatever. Nate goes the fuck off, and he basically tells her like, ma'am, you can't do that. Like, this isn't like your new normal is, I hate to say it, like, ma'am, you have cancer. You have to take care of yourself. You can't push yourself like that. Simone ain't trying to hear it. Damon gone. She ain't got Lando. She like, look, my life is in a fucking tailspin. They gave her cancer, and Nate want her to not do tennis. Yeah, that's dead. So, of course, Nate gets upset or whatever, per usual. And the next thing, you got Gabby and JR, and they in her dorm room or whatever, or his dorm room, whoever's room it is, and she ends up getting a message. She got into this engineer program, but it's supposedly like one of the best ones in the world. JR asks like, why didn't she tell him that she was applying? And she's like, bro, you were literally worrying about trying to restart the baseball team, so I didn't actually have time to tell you anything. She's got a point. JR stands there and he looks dumb, but then he tries to help her like with her interview, so he wants to go over like interview questions with her and shit like that, and she pretty much is like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna do this one without you. And I'm like, damn, well, what did you expect, my friend? In the next scene, you got Simone supposed to be leading the practice or whatever. Mind you, Coach Lonnie doesn't even know that this girl is sick. So Coach Lonnie has her about to run the practice. Thea has to intervene and basically like cover for her by saying like, oh, since I'm in town and it's been a while, blah, 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 how about I lead the practice? And Simone backs her up. She's like, yeah, let Thea run the practice. I bet. Your ass be done died out there trying to run that fucking practice, but you want to keep trying to act like shit is okay. It's not. And the next thing, you got Nate, and they're like walking on campus or whatever, and like Lando is like calling out to Nate or whatever, and Nate is so like in his own head that they don't even hear Lando calling them. So eventually Lando like steps in front of Nate, and he's like, hey, he like, how you doing? And they have a conversation, and Nate tells Lando how his cousin has reached out to him, his cousin Val, like they had a little issue back when they were a little bit younger, but she's reached out and she's trying to link up with him because I'm guessing she must be in town, so she's planning on coming to the school and linking up with him or whatever. Lando tells him to lie, like, basically saying like it's no sense in disrupting your peace if you think the conversation not gonna go well, and if you already got a whole bunch of shit on your plate. Now, what Nate said in response to that is so true, because I feel like a lot of times people will meet up with family members out of obligation, whereas though you necessarily don't have to. And I think that's a bit what Nate was going through. He felt like, if I don't meet with this cousin, 9 times out of 10, my aunts and them gonna be on my ass about saying like, oh, you treating family weird, blah, 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 blah. So Nate agrees to link up. The next scene, Simone end up getting her diagnosis. It's stage 1, not bad. The doctor says she don't have to go through chemo, but she will have to go through radiology. Now, they give her a timetable. They give her a 6 to 8 week timetable. Simone instantly starts losing her shit because she knows that in a 6 to 8 week timeline, that will literally take her out of competition. Like, she will not be able to play tennis this season. So of course in her mind, all she's doing is just trying to rack out how she can do everything. But again, ma'am, you're not going to be able to do everything. That's just not it. Like, it's just not possible. We got more scenes with JR and Keisha, and like I said, I'm sick of seeing them two together, because all y'all doing is setting us up for the demise of those two relationships, and it's the weirdest shit ever. Why do this on the third season? Like, we don't care. Why put JR and Keisha together in the third season? If it was going to be something, you should have just put them two together and not put Gabby and JR together. What is the point of putting their partners through all this trauma? We're going to see. JR is basically asking Keisha about advice for, trying to set up a date for Gabby. And come to find out, Keisha and Gabby are both into this fiction book series or whatever. I guess it kind of must give like a Bridgerton vibe. But I think it's weird JR will ask Keisha for advice on his relationship when clearly y'all have something going on. So granted, Keisha's she's not a hater, so she's not the type to like sabotage JR's relationship, but I feel like she's definitely eventually gonna not be able to hide her feelings for that man. So we're gonna see what happens. And his cousin meet up, and granted, it wasn't the cousin so much that was making the vibe weird, but Nate was definitely being like very cold with the cousin. Initially, the cousin don't read the room. Like, I can just tell, like, by her whole demeanor, like that, she probably been iffy about Nate's transition into non-binary status, whatever the case may be, for a long time, because you could just tell. According to Nate, the cousin did something years ago when Nate was a tad bit younger, and Nate kind of never bounced back from it because he felt like whatever the cousin did was pretty much mocking his experience. So Nate has been holding on to that shit for like years, because he felt like, growing up, him and the cousin, they both had the aspirations of law school, to be lawyers, to take care of people, this, that, and the third. And then it felt like to be mocked by that same person really hurt Nate. And I'm guessing that's where Nate is at with the cousin or whatever. I have to say, with the next scene, I'm proud of these two because they really came a long way. Simone and Thea, like they really came a long way. And then they're having a conversation about freezing eggs because they think with the radiation, there's a possibility that it could affect it with her, Simone, whether or not she can get pregnant. So they're talking about freezing eggs. But again, like I said, Simone is low-key like delusional about her situation. Like, she feels like she is in control of this whole thing when you're really not. Like, baby, once cancer hit, it is what it is. Like, you kind of just got to go with the program. You can't be out here trying to overwork yourself. Like, it's just not. She ends up having a conversation with JR about it. And my thing is, JR knows what it's like to be an athlete and sick. So he's telling her, like, look, you're not wrong for wanting to do it all, but you got to be real. Like, there's a possibility you might not. Lando, he has been a really good friend to everyone this season. I think he's earning his lead role position at this point because he's pretty much just going to find his way into, like, everything. He keeps catching Nate in rare form. So Nate ends up telling Lando exactly what the cousin did. So when Nate was still like processing their identity or whatever the case may be, the cousin must have put up a post on like their social media or whatever, mocking non-binary or trans people. And Nate, like I said, Nate held on to that shit for pretty much forever. I don't know if the cousin necessarily doesn't remember the post or if she's just kind of like trying to, I'm not gonna say she trying to gaslight Nate by acting like it didn't happen, but I think it might have just been so long ago and she's done so much in her life that she might not remember that shit. Honestly, it's like digging up somebody's old tweets. Like, they may or may not remember that shit, truth be told. In the next scene, you got Keisha basically setting up a dating space for Gabby and JR because JR is trying to do something nice to rekindle their relationship, get them back where they want to be. And this is the thing, Keisha got to be sick because for JR to be doing all of that for their relationship, for him and Gabby's relationship, and then it just seemed like Cam just is literally not giving a fuck. But Keisha, you had been lying your ass off, and that man, it was 2 instances where you and that man had agreed to stop lying to each other and you kept doing it. So she is definitely going over the top with the decoration and all of that, and then they end up having this moment where like he's thanking her for setting up the venue for him for their date or whatever, and they ended up hugging, and I just feel like they hugged too long and it looked like they was about to kiss, and then she just ran off. It's stressing me out, truthfully, because like I said, it seems like it's a very unnecessary storyline, considering there's so much other stuff you could talk about with these final episodes of the entire show. Like, please give me something better. In the next scene, you got everybody. I'm not gonna say everybody. I want to say it's Keisha, Thea, Nate, and they all at the house. And like, what's her name is gang banging on the spaghetti. Like, Keisha is like going crazy, but Keisha's dealing with something else. Like, the fact that her mom used to have cancer, I think, is what's affecting how she's dealing with the situation with Simone, because it's like it's overwhelming her, but the situation is not about her. So I think that's pretty much why she's just kind of playing it cool, because again, she don't want to seem like she's being selfish by bringing up her situation in the midst of Simone's situation. It just would look like, like you definitely trying to make it about you. So I genuinely feel like Nate might need to relax with the cousin shit, because it's like, it was years ago. And then you can't, if you weren't even 100% sure of your journey at the time, like, how can you want them to be like 100% sure of your journey at the time? So you're judging her when you weren't even 100% sure at the time. So I think it's just a process of like hearing her out versus you just chewing her head off. Simone comes in there, like I said, they having dinner or whatever, and Simone comes in there and she comes up with this genius plan about how to still be able to compete in tennis while going through everything that she's going through. So she finds out that she can move one of her appointments up, the egg storing appointment, her fertility appointment, and then in turn that would be able to get her radiation quicker, which could get her done the process faster. Give it a rest. Because, and here's another thing, if you know your plan probably isn't going to be received well by your friends, just keep it to yourself. Or tell somebody that you can tell that's not going to judge you. Like, I feel like you could probably have told Lando, you could have probably had told JR, and they probably wouldn't have judged you. But like, Nate is on one right now. So like, for you to tell Nate, and then Keisha is dealing with her own issues as far as like how this whole thing is affecting her, you should have just kept it to yourself, or at least told Thea. Because Thea don't really, she's being supportive, but I don't think she would go as hard to be like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. Like, no, she might say, hey, I don't know if it's a good plan, but I don't think she's going to go overboard like Nate. And on top of that, she still hasn't told Coach Lonnie that she has cancer, nor has she told Aunt Amara. So it's like, you're literally running around with cancer, breast cancer, and thinking that people don't need to know. In the sense of you're an athlete. If you feel like your coaches don't need to know, it's crazy. And then the fact that, again, like I said last episode, you didn't tell your mother and you didn't tell your aunt because you just want to make sure you know what's going on first. That's why you're freaking out about everything right now, because you're not being real about the situation. You're trying to put on a mask and you're trying to make it seem like you'll be able to just coast through this shit. And I don't think cancer has ever been that. So, granted, Nate doesn't really fuck with the plan. Keisha pretty much just agrees because, like I said, she don't want to say nothing wrong because she's dealing with her own issues with the cancer situation because of her mother. Nate storms off. But Keisha is still stressing this Cam situation. In the next scene, you get Simone having to decide whether she's going to take her fitness test or her fertility appointment. My thing is, do you want kids again? Granted, you had the one baby. If you want kids later, then you're going to need to go to your fertility test. If you want to keep playing tennis, you're going to have to go to your fitness test. Granted, like, that's pretty much your life right now. Like, you're going to have to pick the things that are more important to your longevity, aka like whether you see the next year or not versus whether you see the next tennis competition. Like, it's like, bro, I get athletes and I get like that's their life and shit like that, but when I wonder if athletes sometimes consider it being like a sign when shit happens like that. Maybe your passion is something else. Maybe maybe that's the sign. Maybe Simone, because the show is about to end, maybe that's the Lord's sign telling you go ahead, get up out of tennis, baby. Ain't no sense, like, But I don't know. I don't. She gonna have to come on. Next thing you got Nate and the cousin meet up. And Nate shows the cousin the post. And, she explains herself and she's saying, like, listen, that was a point in time where you weren't sure. I was a freshman in college. Basically, what she's saying is cancel culture wasn't around, so she said what she said. Not really, but she's definitely been trying to, like, apologize about the situation, do right by the situation, at least by Nate. Nate is just harboring. Like, my thing is, forgive or don't, like, but don't sit up there and keep meeting up with her just so you can make her feel bad about the situation. Like, she ends up saying that she's trying to make amends and shit like that. So, like, don't hold it over her head. Like, they're going to talk about it later on, even though the cousin can see that Nate is dealing with some other issues on top of, their situation. Nate ends up telling the cousin about Simone having a cancer and shit like that, and how she's just trying to be normal, and Nate doesn't 100% agree with it. And the cousin basically tells Nate, like, that's not your place, basically. Like, you can either be there to support them or whatever, but you can't be in control of it. Now, in the next scene, you got Lando and Simone. Now, where's Lando's girlfriend? Because since she got the cancer, I ain't seen Lando's girlfriend. I just been seeing Lando around, just around Simone. I didn't know Lando's mom was a plastic surgeon. We definitely all thought she was a painter. I think she went through a moment where she had to decide what was better for her career wise. Was it better to build up her firm, her plastic industry, or was it better to take care of people? So what she decided to do was she decided to open her own agency and then her own plastic surgery place, and that allowed her to not only help people who didn't have the means, but that also allowed her to do what she loved. So Lando is basically telling Simone, like, and see, this is my problem with Lando. He's so in love with that girl that he's willing to tell her that she can do it all, not knowing that, like, sir, you don't know what it's like to have cancer and to be trying to play tennis. Come on, Lando. I mean, I get where you're going because you're trying to be supportive and you want to be, when it's all said and done, you want to be that guy that said all the right shit while she was sick. I get it, but no. In my mind, I was thinking, like, all right, cool. Maybe if she tells Coach Lonnie what's going on, maybe Coach Lonnie will let her move the test or whatever the case may be. But then she keeps saying that if she does that, then everything else is going to be thrown off timeline wise, and then she might not be able to make it back, on the court in time. And like I said, bro, Simone, you're going to probably end up having to give it up. Like, it's not, I mean, maybe give it up and then try out for like a semi-pro league or something once you're done, like, but to put your, like, I don't know, like, I don't think it's gonna make it would be 10 times worse for you to go out there and your performance lack because you're fucking sick versus you going out there thinking you could do it and then something happens while you're out there. I'm torn. She should probably just relax, take the radiation, heal herself, and then get back out there. She worried about getting red shirted and all this shit. You need to be transferring schools. That's it. One thing I can say about Thea this episode is Thea is pretty much keeping it real with delusional ass Simone. And I'm not mad because she's having to lie to Coach Lonnie and do all of this stuff for Simone. And she's telling her, like, look, at some point she's going to find out. So you might as well just tell her. In the next scene, you see Nate get a text message to somebody like, oh, have you seen this? And it's technically Nate's cousin, who works for the law firm, granted, is the attorney for the people who beat up Ezra, old boy in the wheelchair. So now Nate is instantly pissed off again. So he texts her like, forget dinner. I need to see you on campus ASAP. Here's my thing. Mind your business. You had already got wild out about Ezra for being in his business the first time. Granted, all that worked out. But now you about to concern yourself with what her job has her doing? She's at work. Like, y'all need to deal with y'all personal family issues. But again, you're letting everybody else's issues control you emotionally, Nate. Worry about one thing at a time, I would say. Cam still ain't responding to Keisha. One thing about JR is, like, Keisha can keep on acting like shit is okay and this, that, and the third. But one thing about JR is he gonna find out. Because JR can read everybody's vibe, you know? So he he can sense when something is wrong with these people. Like, they've been friends for years so far, and they've been through so much that I think that JR can sense shit when be wrong with his friends. So like I said, Keisha's mom died from cancer, so of course she ends up having that conversation with JR. He's like basically asking her, like, how many people told you it was going to be okay when your mom had cancer, you know? And I think that's the thing. She's trying not to be that person that just keeps telling Simone it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, and then knowing that there's a possibility that it won't be okay. I think Keisha needs to find a way to be able to separate the two so that she can successfully be there for Simone rather than emotionally clouding her own judgment based off of what her mother went through. In the next scene, you end up seeing like the whole dating space that Keisha has set up for JR and Gabby or whatever. It's really nice, you know. Like I said, it's definitely given like a Bridgerton theme because she ends up giving him like an outfit to wear for the night or whatever. Now, what JR did was he went out his way to go learn about that book series that Keisha and Gabby are fans of so that he can have, I get it, because you would want to know things that your spouse like, or at least know a little bit about it so that they can feel like you're at least hearing them out. Like, you this lady clearly reads these books, and so does Keisha, and you don't know shit about it. So yeah, step your game up, JR, or you're gonna end up losing your girl, just like Keisha's gonna lose her man. So it was Cam texting Keisha. Finally, mind you, this is finally Cam finally texts Keisha back. He hits her with the "been busy, catch you later." No, baby. Yeah, that relationship is over. That relationship is definitely over. And if it's not, it's on its way. Catch you later? Okay. In the next scene, you got Simone with all her medicine or whatever in front of her, because of course she went to her fertility meeting, and Keisha comes in and she ends up telling Keisha, like, you know, I gotta mix all of this stuff and it's gotta be taken at a specific time, this, that, and the third. And she ends up breaking down a little bit. She like, look, I don't even know if I can do this for real. And, you know, finally Keisha puts her pride to the side and she's like, listen, I'm gonna use my pre-med skills. We're gonna help you mix this shit up. We're gonna help you take it on time. We're gonna put you on the schedule, blah, 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 blah. And she tells her, like, listen, your child will be thankful that you went through this for them, just like I was, that my mom did it for me. I'm like, that's a good point. And again, Keisha, yeah, if you want to do something that just because you probably felt like you couldn't help your mother in that situation because you were a child, how about now you take this opportunity to help your friend? Be supportive, but don't make it about you, though. The next scene, you got Nate rolling up on Val, which is the cousin. First one was, I don't know why he had this clueless look on. Definitely not one of his best looks. Looked kind of crazy, low key. They get into it about who she's representing, and she's like, what do you want me to do? I'm a junior partner. I don't get to really pick my cases, and I'm not going to pretty much throw away a high profile case. How was she even supposed to know that Nate was like an advocate for this situation? So Nate hits her with the, oh, did you just come down here to basically get information off of me to help with your case? That's a fucking reach. That is a reach. Cousin basically tell him, like, you got to realize that everything that everybody does is not going to 100% align with your morals. So you're going to have to learn to accept people for who they are and meet them where they are, or you're going to end up hurting a lot of people that love you. And I was like, that's a true statement, because look at how he's treating Simone because he don't agree with how she wants to deal with her cancer. You see what I'm saying? Like, she's not wrong because you're pissed off and you're screaming on Simone and all of that, but you're going to push her away if you keep acting like that. Next scene, you got Simone taking her fitness test. Now, it didn't look like she was moving too fucking fast to me. I felt like she was blowing it. Of course, they don't say anything negative about her results, but then Coach Lonnie walks up to Simone and she says, like, oh, I need to speak to you and Thea after practice. Now, when she first says that, I think to myself, like, oh shit, did Thea fucking rat? Because that would be crazy. Like, but also Thea told her prior to that, like, how are you going to be able to maintain this lie when I already had to cover for you one time this year already? And she's got a fucking point, because like, you're gonna be drained. Like, it's no way if you can't run practice right now, what makes you think you would be able to get through this fitness test or whatever the case may be? So like I said, she gets through the test. Simone, Thea, and Coach Lonnie go to the back. Now it comes out that Thea's personal tennis trainer is going to train Simone for the preseason instead of having Simone go through training with the team. That survey says that is a lie, because she literally just did that to give Simone time to get through her whole little plan and shit. And I'm just like, this is going to backfire. Now, here's the thing. Let's think like this. Okay, so let's say she go through with her plan. She keep playing tennis, blah, 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 blah. And she go out there and she gets whooped. Wouldn't that be just as bad as just like not being able to do it at all? I don't know. Like, if you get bounced out the tournament, you gone early. If you get bounced out because you're sick, you're gone early. So it's just like, and if you just don't do it, it's kind of all the same. You're going to be mad one way or another. Like, so I think just take your time, okay? Thea's being really friendly this year. I don't know, maybe because she's a recurring character, so she's trying to, I mean, it's not like she's working towards a new season, because that's not happening. Nate called a family meeting. He takes what his cousin told him and pretty much puts it into play. He apologizes to everybody about how he's been acting lately. He also comes up with like a schedule board to help Simone with her appointments and shit like that. I think a lot of the conversations that Lando had with people this episode were pivotal to getting everybody where they were by the end of the episode. So let's clap it up for Lando. Once they all sit down and they get it out, and Nate apologized to everybody, Simone ends up having to apologize to everybody too, because she's like, this whole entire time I've been just kind of like trying to do this on my own and acting like this isn't my new normal, when this is it. I have cancer. So she thanks the crew. Everybody, agrees to be there for her, and just like they did the last episode. But the only thing is, Simone has to relax. She's gonna overextend herself. It's not gonna go well. So I just hope she takes a chill. So I guess we just gonna have to wait and see what happened in the next episode. Listen, y'all, this High Time Reviews. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. That was All American Homecoming, Season 3, Episode 6, New Normal. I'm gonna catch y'all next week.